So I briefly touched on this topic in previous videos, and I wanted to make a entire video on this topic, which is getting out of your comfort zone and why it's so important, autistic or not, to do this. See, as an autistic person myself, getting out of your comfort zone is one of the most daunting things imaginable. Us autistics, we love routine, and we can be quite rigid at times. However, I've heard a lot of people in the autistic community that want different things. They want to be in a relationship, they want to have friends, they want to achieve certain things. But in the same breath, they would say stuff like, but I don't want that to change my routine. That makes no sense. That is incredibly counterintuitive in every sense of the word. If you want anything to change in your life, and you should want things to change in your life, especially if you don't like the way that your life is, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, if you're depressed, you should 100% want change. You should 100% want things to not be the exact same as it's always been. But the problem is that us human beings, like I said, this does not just apply to autistic people. This applies to everyone. There's so many people on this planet that want things to change for them, but they don't want to go out and actually achieve the things. They expect it to just fall on their laps. Like, what sense does that make? Unreal. It makes zero sense. That is the most counterintuitive thing I've heard. And so much so that I think I said this in the first video that I ever made, that some people get so comfortable in their space, in their bubble, even if they don't like the situation, they would rather stay in that comfort zone rather than try something different. And I understand the reason, because obviously in your comfort zone, even if you don't like the comfort zone, you're familiar with it, you know how to deal with it. In certain instances, you're not always going to feel sad, you're not always going to feel upset, you're not always going to feel stressed out. So when those stressful moments come up, you know how to deal with it in your own space. I get it. I really do. It doesn't always last though. Yeah, you may manage those stressful times, but guess what? They will come back. That's the funny part about it. It will come back. If you remain in your comfort zone, those stressful moments will return. They will return. And that's exactly the reason for why you question yourself. You question why nothing changes, why you're still miserable, why you're still upset, why do you still look at the world in such a negative and pessimistic way. It's because you don't want to get up and do something different. You know what you would like to do? You would rather stay in the comfort zone and do the exact same thing expecting different results. Now, last time I checked, I believe that is a form of insanity. And look, I've done this. I've done that exact same thing. Done the same thing, expecting different results, and it never worked. Ever. The only time I started to find stuff that worked is when I started to do things differently. When I got that stupid ass idea out of my head that, yeah, if I just keep doing the same thing, eventually something will change. No. That is so delusional. And all it does is you just develop a victim mentality. It's time to get that victim mentality out of here. And the only way to do that is to get yourself out of your comfort zone. And look, as I said, I know it's difficult. These last couple of weeks for me, I've been constantly out of my comfort zone. I've been constantly been put in situations where I don't expect things to happen, because I've pictured I pictured a scenario where I kind of mapped out exactly how things were going to work, but then there was always like a curveball in the path, and then I had to kind of think on my feet because I didn't realize that was going to happen. And it's daunting. It's very, very, very daunting when you're out in the abyss, when you're in the unknown. I understand how daunting it is, but trust me, man, I will 100% say this right now. All of the changes that's happened in my life, just in the last year alone, or in the last couple years, I'm thankful for. You know why? Because yes, I've been put through the ringer in a lot of cases because I've been outside my comfort zone. But because I've been put through the ringer, all of those insecurities and traumas that rose to the surface, I had to deal with those. I couldn't run away from those anymore. And now that I've healed from those traumas and insecurities, those things, those stressful moments I talked about earlier, don't even come up anymore. You know why? Because I've healed from those. So whenever those stressful situations that used to stress me out, that used to depress me, that used to upset me, no longer do. You know why? Because when you heal from traumas and insecurities, you gain more resilience. So those same things that used to affect you in such a negative way no longer do. You have such a different outlook on how to deal with those same triggering situations. You finally have an alternative, and it's a much more positive and healthier alternative. It doesn't lead to self-sabotage. Guys, it's time to get out of your comfort zone. If you want things to change for you, you have no choice. And I know that if you are watching this video, that you want things to change for you, but you just don't know how to do it. I get it. It's scary. It's daunting. It's extremely daunting. But trust me, it is fulfilling. It is so satisfying, especially when you start getting it right. When you finally figure out exactly what the problem was all this time, it is one of the most satisfying things. I can assure you that. Man, when I started figuring out how to get over the obstacles that I was faced with for so many years, when I finally figured out exactly how to do it, it took me years. It took me years to figure this out. But once I finally tried something different, I didn't do the same thing that I always used to do. I thought of something different. I came up with an alternative and I tried something different. And then when that started working, oh my Lord, it was one of the most satisfying things, man. I'm telling you. And not only that, but as I said before, those same stressful, triggering situations that I always used to encounter, I no longer feel the same way. And it's just natural. It's not something I even have to think about. It's just natural because I've gained resilience for it. And if you're watching this, that can happen to you too. Here is one thing as well that autistic people specifically need to understand. is yes, we are afraid of change, but it doesn't always have to be that way. We are perfectly capable of adapting to change. The only difference is that it will take a little bit longer for us to adapt because of the fact that we have to process all of that new information. And a lot of the times, the reason why it's so daunting is most likely because, I think I have a reason. Because for me, whenever something different happens, especially if I've mapped out the scenario in my head, that I have to basically crunch it up and start again. And that is frustrating. But that is life. Life is always changing. Unfortunately, and I have to say this as to myself too, and remind myself of this, that life doesn't always go the way that you planned. But that does not mean you must, imprison yourself. Yes, and I use the word imprison yourself in your own box, in your own bubble, because you don't want it to change. Because you're too scared of change, so you think to yourself, let me just encapsulate myself. But then at the same time, again, why is nothing happening that's different for me? You caused that. Nobody else. You did. We have the potential as autistic people to adapt to change, but it's up to us to make it happen. And guess what? I'm not saying that if you follow exactly what I did, then you will get that way. No, I'm not saying that, because look, everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different way of learning and executing. So I can't recommend the exact same thing that I did simply because it might not work for you. And the one thing I don't want to do is false advertise. Guided Neurons is not a place for false advertisement. If I want to give stuff, I want to give stuff that works. And one thing that definitely works is getting out of your comfort zone. It is scary. It is daunting, as I mentioned before, but it's fulfilling if you keep at it. Do not give up under any circumstance. Do not give up. You have the potential to change your life. You have every ounce of potential inside of you, and it's inside of you. Do not look outwards to get people to understand you. Yes, if you need help to support yourself, especially if you're autistic, getting out of your comfort zone is very scary, then do that. Well, like I said, whatever works for you, go ahead and do it. But please get out of your comfort zone. Stop being in your house all day. If you want to be in a relationship and you want to have friends and you want to go out places, stop being in your house because you feel like you're not good enough to go to those particular places. Get out and do it. If you want friends, if you want a relationship, if you want to be involved in certain activities or certain interests or even new interests, but you're too scared to do it, get up and do it anyway. Get up and do it anyway. Because that is how you learn to improve. That is how you improve. You have every single bit of ounce of potential in you, and the only way to awaken it is if you do it yourself. I know I've been quite passionate about this video, but it's simply because when I look back, man, when I look back at my life, when I look back at all of the things I used to struggle with, right, before the pandemic, where I was just doing the exact same thing all the time, no change to my routine, just going to work, coming home, occasionally going out with my friends on the weekends, and then back to work the following Monday. But I wanted things to change, and I kept thinking, and I hope one day those changes will happen. I wish those things could happen to me. It's just mind-boggling that I used to think like that. But I get why I used to think like that, because I never thought about getting out of my comfort zone. Or I may have, because this wasn't the first time that this concept was said to me. This was said to me many times in the past, especially when I would talk to people about the changes I wanted in my life. They said, get out of your comfort zone. But guess what? I said no. I said no. I don't want to. I don't want to because it's scary. I never told them the exact reason, which is because I was scared. But that's exactly what it was. It's because I was scared. Scared of change. And because I was so scared of change, everything in my life remained the same. It was just a coastline. It was going like this. And then the most mind-boggling thing of all is I kept wondering why everything was the same. Like, when I think back to my old self, man, it's just like, what? Are you serious? Like, if I could go back somehow and talk to my 26-year-old self, my 17-year-old self, who kept thinking those things as a 32-year-old now, and just hear the exact words that I used to come out with, I wouldn't be surprised if I had to slap my old self silly. I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? How could you possibly think these things? That's what I would say to myself now. And again, man, this is not me judging anybody who thinks like this. This is not me judging anyone and attacking anybody and thinking I'm so superior because I've managed to get out of my comfort zone and make changes. No, I don't think I'm superior to anybody. You know why? Because I've done something that you can do. You can also do what I did. It's not impossible. The only reason why it feels impossible is because that's what you convinced yourself. You've convinced yourself that it's impossible. You've convinced yourself that you can't do it because you're not good enough. It all comes down to you. And I say that because that's how I used to think. Keyword being used to think. I no longer do. You guys have every single ounce of potential within you. I'm going to keep on saying that just so it really sinks in. You have got this. You have the potential to make changes in your life, and the only thing that's stopping you, the only thing that's holding you back is you. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys for watching to this video. I really hope that this helps. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Type in the comments, man. If you're having a hard time getting out of your comfort zone, type it in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. You know, tell us about your experiences with getting out of your comfort zone. If you have got out of your comfort zone, let us know that too. Let's put some receipts down there as well, so other people who's watching this knows that I'm not talking crap. And also, while you're there, check out the Autism Podcast as well. That's hosted by the London Autism Group Charity. I am one of the co-hosts for that podcast, where we talk to other autistic people who have gotten out of their comfort zone, and they explain their experiences there too. Thank you guys for watching again. This is Simeon of Guided Neurons, and remember, stay blessed and keep expanding.